"You're fired. This company needs real talent," my sister announced at the board meeting. 3 months later, she sat in the same room as the new owner walked in. I opened the door and said, "Surprise. Let's discuss your resignation." The mahogany boardroom table gleamed under soft lighting as I watched my career crumble. My sister Victoria stood at the head of the table, her perfectly manicured hands planted firmly on its surface, her expression a mask of false regret. "I'm Madeline Carter, and this was the day my sister decided to destroy me." As the new CEO of Carter Technologies, Victoria's voice carried across the stunned silence. "My first action must be to address the inefficiencies in our leadership team." Her eyes locked onto mine, cold and calculating. "Madeline, your performance as Chief Innovation Officer has been consistently disappointing." I sat perfectly still, my face betraying nothing as 2 decades of memory flashed through my mind. Dad building Carter Technologies from nothing, teaching us both the business from the ground up, making us promise to always protect his legacy together. Dad had been gone just 3 months, and already Victoria was breaking that promise. "The numbers don't lie," she continued, clicking through her presentation. "Your R&D department has failed to produce any significant breakthroughs in the past year. Our competitors are leaving us behind." What Victoria conveniently failed to mention was that I'd spent that year developing something revolutionary, something that could transform Carter Technologies from a mid-sized tech company into an industry leader. But the prototype was still in my private lab waiting for the perfect moment to unveil it, a moment that would never come now. Therefore, Victoria straightened her designer blazer, effective immediately. "Madeline Carter is terminated from her position at Carter Technologies." The board members shifted uncomfortably. Some had known me since I was a child, had watched me grow up in these halls, but none spoke up. Victoria had spent months consolidating her power, replacing key members with her own allies. "You can't do this," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "I own 30% of this company." Victoria's smile turned predatory. "Actually, according to Dad's will, you own 20%. The board owns 30, and I control the remaining 50. The vote has already been taken." She slid a document across the table. "The board has agreed to buy out your shares at current market value." I glanced at the number. It was insultingly low. Victoria had been deliberately tanking our stock price for months, all part of her plan. "And if I refuse, then we'll freeze you out. No vote, no influence, no salary. You'll be nothing but a silent partner watching from the sidelines." She shrugged elegantly. "Take the money, Maddie. It's more than you deserve." I stood slowly, gathering my things with deliberate care. The weight of my private lab key card seemed to burn in my pocket, the key to everything Victoria thought I'd failed to create. "You know what's funny, Victoria?" I said, pausing at the door. "Dad always said you were the smart one, the ruthless one, the one who would do anything to win. He was right." She smirked. "Number," I smiled, thinking of the prototype waiting in my lab, of the patents filed under my private holding company, of the plans I'd made for exactly this scenario. He wasn't. I walked out of Carter Technologies for the last time, my heels clicking against marble floors that had once felt like home. Security followed, making sure I didn't take anything but my personal belongings. They needn't have bothered. Everything important was already gone. In my car, I pulled out my phone and made a call I'd hoped I'd never have to make. "Miss Zhang, it's Madeline Carter. Remember that contingency plan we discussed? It's time." Jessica Zhang, the most ruthless venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, had been waiting for this call. "Excellent. I'll have the paperwork ready in an hour. Your prototype performs as promised?" I smiled, thinking of the revolutionary AI system I'd spent the past year perfecting. The one Victoria thought didn't exist. Better than promised. And Victoria just made it available for the highest bidder. "She fired you?" "Yes, and severely undervalued my shares." Jessica's laugh was sharp and appreciative. "Perfect. That makes the hostile takeover much easier. Are you ready to play hardball, Madeline?" I looked back at the Carter Technologies building, where Victoria was probably already redecorating my office. "More than ready. Victoria wants to talk about disappointing performance. Let's show her what disappointment really looks like." That night in my penthouse apartment, I reviewed the documents Jessica had sent over. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. My private company, Phoenix Innovations, would partner with Zhang Ventures to launch a competing product. Then, using the market chaos that would ensue, we'd start quietly buying up Carter Technologies stock. Victoria thought she'd won by forcing me to sell my shares at a discount. She had no idea she just made her biggest mistake. My phone buzzed. A text from our mother. "How could you let this happen?" Victoria was just trying to protect the company. I didn't bother responding. Mom had always favored Victoria, excusing her ruthless behavior as good business sense while criticizing my more innovative approach. Instead, I opened my laptop and began typing an email to Carter Technologies' biggest clients. They deserve to know that the company's most innovative products, the ones they've been eagerly awaiting, were about to come from a different source. Victoria wanted a war, fine, but she was about to learn that sometimes the quietest soldier is the most dangerous, and I had been very, very quiet. My prototype sat in its secure case, ready to revolutionize the tech industry. Victoria thought she'd strip me of everything. She didn't realize she'd actually set me free. In 3 months, I would walk back into that boardroom, but this time I wouldn't be the one getting fired. This time, I would own everything. The next 3 months transformed everything. While Victoria was busy redecorating my old office at Carter Technologies, I was building her worst nightmare. My new headquarters occupied the top floor of a gleaming skyscraper across town. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a perfect view of Carter Technologies' building, a constant reminder of what I was fighting for. "The prototype testing is complete," Dr. Marcus Chen, my lead engineer, announced as he entered my office. "It's exceeding all benchmarks. Young Ventures is impressed." I smiled, reviewing the data on my tablet. The AI system I developed would revolutionize how companies handle data processing. It was exactly what our biggest clients had been begging for, and exactly what Victoria thought I'd failed to create. "What's the word from Carter Technologies?" I asked. Though I already knew, I had sources everywhere now. Marcus grinned. "Chaos. Their stock dropped another 15% this morning. Clients are jumping ship left and right. Victoria's trying to fast-track a competing product, but all their best engineers now work for us." I finished. I'd made sure to hire them within days of my departure, offering better pay and creative freedom. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Victoria's struggling. The board is asking questions. Please stop whatever you're doing." I deleted it without responding. Victoria had made her choice 3 months ago. Now she could live with the consequences. Jessica Zhang strode into my office, her sharp suit and sharper smile indicating good news. "We just acquired another 5% of Carter Technologies through our shell companies. That puts us at 18% total." I nodded, pulling up the ownership breakdown on my screen. Victoria still thinks she's untouchable with her 50% stake. She hasn't noticed the ground shifting under her feet. Speaking of shifting, Jessica settled into a chair. "Your old friend James Morrison from the board reached out. He's ready to flip his voting shares to our side." Apparently, Victoria's latest temper tantrum in the boardroom was the last straw. I remembered James. He'd been one of my father's closest friends and had never approved of Victoria's hostile management style. His 10% stake would be crucial. "Perfect timing," I said. "The product launch is scheduled for next week. Once we announce Phoenix Innovation's new AI system, Carter Technologies stock will plummet." Jessica finished, her smile predatory. "And we'll be ready to buy." The product launch was everything we planned for. I stood on stage at the tech industry's biggest conference presenting the AI system that would change everything. In the audience, I spotted several Carter Technologies board members, their expressions growing increasingly panicked as they realized what they'd lost. Victoria sat in the front row, her face a mask of fury as she watched me unveil the innovation she claimed I couldn't create. When I announced that Phoenix Innovations had already signed contracts with 3 of Carter Technologies' biggest clients, she stormed out. The next morning, Carter Technologies' stock dropped 40%. "Your sister's online one," my assistant announced later that day. "She sounds upset." I let it ring through to voicemail. Victoria had never bothered to listen to me. Now it was my turn not to listen to her. Her message was exactly what I expected. Threats, accusations, demands to know how I'd stolen her clients. She still didn't understand that she drew them away herself, with her focus on short-term profits over innovation. The hostile takeover proceeded exactly as planned. As Carter Technologies' stock price fell, our shell companies kept buying. Board members, seeing the writing on the wall, began selling their shares conveniently to buyers we controlled. Victoria fought back, of course. She tried to rush out competing products, but without the innovative talent she'd driven away, they were pale imitations. She attempted to sue me for patent infringement, but all my innovations were legally protected under Phoenix Innovations. She even tried to turn our parents against me. Not that she needed to, they'd always taken her side. But this time, it didn't matter. I wasn't the quiet, accommodating sister anymore. 2 weeks before the final board meeting, I received an unexpected visitor. James Morrison stood in my office looking both impressed and slightly amused. "Your father would be proud," he said, looking around at what I'd built. "He always said you were the real innovator. Victoria just couldn't see it." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that why you're here?" "To tell me Dad would approve." He shook his head. "I'm here to warn you. Victoria knows she's losing control. She's planning something desperate for the board meeting." "Let her try," I said calmly. "Everything's already in motion." James studied me for a moment. "You know, she always thought you were the weak one, the quiet one who would never fight back." I smiled, thinking of all the quiet moments I'd spent planning this very outcome. That was her first mistake. The night before the board meeting, I stood in my office looking across at the Carter Technologies building. Tomorrow, everything would change. My phone buzzed with a final text from Victoria. "Whatever you're planning, it won't work. This is my company." I didn't bother responding. Instead, I opened my laptop and reviewed the final numbers one last time. Through our various shell companies and allied board members, we now controlled 49% of Carter Technologies. Victoria still thought her 50% stake made her invincible. She didn't know about the final piece of the puzzle. The 2% of shares Dad had left in a trust with very specific instructions about how they could be voted. Instructions that would be revealed tomorrow. As I gathered my things to leave, I caught my reflection in the window. I looked different now. Stronger, sharper, more like the CEO I'd become. Victoria had tried to erase me from our father's legacy. Instead, she'd given me the push I needed to build my own. Tomorrow, I would walk into that boardroom not as the sister she betrayed, but as the woman who now controlled her fate. And this time, there would be no false regret, no fake sympathy, just pure, cold corporate justice. The morning of the board meeting, I arrived early at Carter Technologies. The security guards, who still remembered me from my childhood days running through these halls, nodded respectfully as I passed. They'd seen enough corporate drama to know which way the wind was blowing. The boardroom looked exactly as it had 3 months ago, down to the gleaming mahogany table where Victoria had tried to destroy my career. But today, different papers waited at each seat, documents that would change everything. Victoria burst in at 8:55 a.m., her usual confidence slightly frayed around the edges. She faltered for just a moment when she saw me sitting calmly at the table. "You're not supposed to be here," she snapped. "This is a closed board meeting." Actually, James Morrison spoke up from his seat. Miss Carter was officially invited. As the CEO of Phoenix Innovations, she has some rather important business to discuss. Victoria's eyes narrowed as she took in the room. Several of her most reliable board allies were conspicuously absent, replaced by faces she didn't recognize. Representatives from our shell companies. "What's going on?" she demanded, her voice rising. "Where's Theodore and Patricia?" "They sold their shares," I said softly, "along with most of your other allies." "Check your phone, Victoria. The SEC filings went public this morning." She grabbed her phone, her face paling as she scrolled through the notifications. This is impossible. I control 50. 50% isn't enough when the rest of the board votes as a block." Jessica Zhang stood in the doorway, her presence making Victoria step back involuntarily. "And your leadership has been, shall we say, less than inspiring lately?" Victoria spun to face me, realization dawning. You've been buying up shares through shell companies. That's why the stock price kept falling. You were manipulating the market." I corrected her. "The stock price fell because you drove away our best talent, alienated our biggest clients, and failed to innovate. We just helped the market recognize your true value." "It doesn't matter," she said, but her voice wavered. "I still control 50%. You can't outvote me." About that, James pulled out a sealed envelope. "Your father left certain instructions with the trust that holds 2% of company shares. Instructions that could only be revealed under specific circumstances." Victoria sank into a chair as James began reading. "In the event that either of my daughter's attempts to forcibly remove the other from the company, These shares are to be voted with the daughter who demonstrates true innovation and leadership. The trust has reviewed both sisters' actions, James continued. Victoria's hostile removal of Madeline, followed by Madeline's successful launch of groundbreaking technology through Phoenix Innovations, makes the decision clear. I stood slowly. The 2% votes with me, combined with the shares we've acquired and our allied board members, that gives us effective control of Carter Technologies. Number Victoria whispered, Dad wouldn't. Dad knew exactly who you were, I said quietly. He knew he'd try something like this eventually. That's why he left an insurance policy. The first vote, Jessica announced, is to remove Victoria Carter from her position as CEO effective immediately. You can't do this. Victoria shot to her feet. This is my company. Second vote, I continued as if she hadn't spoken, is to approve the merger between Carter Technologies and Phoenix Innovations, with Madeline Carter as CEO of the combined entity. All in favor? James asked. Hands rose around the table. Victoria watched helplessly as her empire crumbled. The votes are recorded, Jessica stated formally. Victoria, you'll need to clear out your office by the end of the day. And if I refuse, then I'll have security escort you out, I said calmly, just like you did to me 3 months ago. She stared at me, tears of rage forming in her eyes. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister the moment you chose power over family. I pressed the intercom. Security, please escort Miss Carter to her office to collect her belongings. As Victoria was led away, our mother burst into the boardroom. What have you done? How could you do this to your sister? I met her gaze steadily, the same way you both did it to me. The difference is I did it legally and ethically, and I did it better. Over the next year, the merged company flourished. My AI technology revolutionized the industry just as I'd planned. Stock prices soared, clients returned, and innovation once again became our driving force. Victoria tried to fight back, of course. She attempted lawsuits, leaked stories to the press, even tried to start a competing company. But without Dad's name or money behind her, she discovered just how hard it was to succeed on merit alone. Our parents took her side, naturally. Holiday dinners became a thing of the past, but I didn't mind. I had built my own family now, a team of brilliant innovators who valued creation over destruction. 1 year to the day after the takeover, I sat in my office, the same office where Victoria had once reigned. A familiar figure appeared in my doorway. Miss Carter, my assistant, looked uncertain. Your sister is here. Victoria stood behind him, looking different, humbler. The designer clothes and perfect makeup were gone, replaced by a simpler, more authentic version of my sister. Can we talk? She asked quietly. I studied her for a moment, then nodded. Close the door. She sat across from me, fidgeting with her purse. I've been doing a lot of thinking this past year. About Dad, about the company, about what you built while I was busy trying to tear you down. And you were right about everything. She took a deep breath. I wanted to control Dad's legacy so badly that I forgot what that legacy was supposed to be about. Innovation, creation, building something meaningful. I leaned back in my chair waiting. I'm not asking for my job back, she continued. I don't deserve it, but I've been developing some ideas of my own. Small stuff. Nothing like your AI system, but it's mine, and it's honest. She pulled out a business plan, sliding it across my desk. I'm not asking for money or support. I wanted you to be the first to see it. I picked up the proposal, scanning it thoughtfully. It was good, genuinely good. A small tech solution for local businesses, the kind of thing that could help real people. You did this yourself? She nodded. No shortcuts, no writing on Dad's name. Just me learning to code in my apartment, trying to build something real. I was quiet for a long moment, remembering all the times I'd wished for my sister to understand what real innovation meant. There's a small business incubator program starting next month, I said finally, independent from Carter Technologies. But I mentor there sometimes. Submit your proposal. If it's accepted, you'll get seed funding and guidance. Really? Hope flickered in her eyes. On one condition, I held up a finger. You earn it. No special treatment, no family connections, just your idea and your work ethic. She stood straightening her shoulders. That's all I'm asking for. A fair chance to prove myself. As she turned to leave, I called after her. Victoria? She paused at the door. Dad would be proud. Not of what happened before, but of what you're trying to do now. A small smile curved her lips. Not the predatory smirk I remembered, but something more genuine. Thanks, Maddie, but I think he'd be prouder of you. After she left, I stood at my window, looking out at the city where both our dreams were taking shape. Victoria had needed to lose everything to learn what real success meant, and I had needed to lose my place in the family to find my true strength. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemy. It's about building something so magnificent that they're forced to change just to keep up. And sometimes, if you're lucky, that change creates something better than revenge. It creates understanding. As for me, I kept Dad's old nameplate on my desk right next to my own. A reminder that legacies aren't inherited. They're built one innovation at a time. And I was just getting started.